close it. Okay. Alright, so I suppose we'll start here. This will be how you do the Mugman Duplication glitch. So to start with, you need a controller of some kind. I don't think it matters what kind of controller you use, as long as you have a controller. I don't think you can do this with only keyboard unless you have two keyboards, and I don't know how that works. But get your controller. I've got it plugged in. I think it works the same if you do Bluetooth. Doesn't really matter. But then you just kind of start up your computer, right? Don't start your controller driver. For me, this is a DualShock 4, and it doesn't work natively with most PC games. So I have a program called DS4 Windows that I use to make it so that it works with all my games. And so we're not going to launch that. We're just going to start up and launch Cuphead right away. So Cuphead has its own PS4 controller driver, and that's what that box is that pops up right there. It says it's using Steam's controller driver for Cuphead. And that's a recent thing, and that's why this glitch actually works. So after you've launched Cuphead, don't do anything. Just tab out, and then you want to launch your controller driver, whatever it is. Mine's DS4 Windows, so this is what it looks like. And you want to make sure, it says down here, controller 1 is using profile default. So when you go to the profile, well, this is just the keybinds and stuff, so that doesn't matter. But what you want to go is settings, you want to make sure this is unchecked. Usually, in order for this DS4 Windows to work, you have to have this checked. Otherwise, Steam tries to take the controller and the driver can't get it, right? So make sure that's unchecked, and your controller should show up here. So launch your controller driver after you launch Cuphead, then you start your game, and it doesn't matter, you can do it on a new file, you can do it on a file you already have, doesn't matter. So when you get in, if you just walk around, you should be able to control Cuphead with your controller. And if you press X, you'll see that come up. It says press any button to join, which makes player 2 join. At this point, you should be able to control both characters with your one controller. And then in order to do the duplication glitch, it works the same in the overworld as it works in an actual level, as it works in run and guns. It works everywhere except for the King Dice, the whole sequence of King Dice and the Devil. For some reason, I don't know why the Mugman Duplication glitch doesn't work in those two fights. But basically, what you want to do is you come down to remove player 2, and the way that I do it is I use my keyboard and I press enter to say remove player 2, and then immediately after you press enter, like as soon as possible, like 1 frame later, you press X on the controller twice. And if you do it right, you should get an extra Mugman. If you do it wrong, it'll pause the game like this, and it doesn't let you move your characters. If you do it correctly, so that was a failure. If you do it correctly, the timing is actually really tight. It'll let you move your characters. There we go. If you do it right, it won't actually pause the game. There we go. So if you do it wrong, it pauses. Actually, I didn't mean to do it right that time. If you do it wrong, it pauses, doesn't let you move for a couple seconds. If you do it right, it lets you move. And if you do it enough in the overworld, their footsteps actually take up all of the audio channels and the music stops playing. Need just one or two more. As far as I know, you can do this as many times as you want until you get frustrated with the timing. Or maybe until the game runs out of memory? I don't know. But yeah, that is the Mugman Duplication glitch. So if you're having trouble getting it to work, there's only a couple things that you could possibly be doing wrong. One is, if you can control both characters with one controller, but you can't pull off the duplication, you're probably just missing the timing. It's really fast. And I think you have to hit X twice on the controller, basically while this menu is fading out. There's like a 2-frame window after you press remove player 2 where that menu is fading out. And I think how it works is you have to press X on the controller twice to spawn in Mugman before he gets despawned, basically. Basically, while that menu is fading out. And if you do it inside of a level... Ooh, this is a bad one to show it on. Because the dragon is actually arguably harder with this glitch. But doing it inside a level is the same. For the most part, the hardest part of fighting bosses like this is keeping all of your characters synchronized with each other. That's another thing to note, I suppose. When player 2 spawns in the middle of a fight, he only gets 1 health. But that's a demonstration of kind of how much damage you can do with this glitch. Kill the dragon in 34 seconds. Let's see, what else? If you're having trouble getting to the point where you can control both characters with one controller, most likely the mistake that you've made is that you're either starting your controller driver before you start the game, or you have not unchecked the little box that says use exclusive mode, or what does it say? Hide DS4 controller, or whatever it is. This, basically when it does this, it tries to, the driver tries to hide the controller from the rest of the computer, right? So that this driver is the only thing that gets it. And that's what we want to avoid. What's actually happening here is when you start the game, it loads up Steam's driver for the controller and says, okay, that controller is player 1. And then when you start the controller driver, as long as you have that hide DS4 controller unchecked, won't remove Steam from saying that the controller is player 1, but it creates a second controller that is the output of that driver. And the second controller, the game then says, oh, okay, that's player 2. And in reality, it's the same controller. It's just feeding into 2 drivers. So that is how the Mugman Duplication glitch works. I will highlight this little segment of video and upload it to YouTube's and the Twitches, and be a nice little explanation for y'all. So I suppose thanks for watching. Alright, so that's the end of that.